Hey YouTubers, this old guy doing things here, and the project that I'm working on right now is replacing a blower motor in a 2015 Nissan Leaf. And what happened was, no fault of the car, but we got rodent infestation on the car, and it's about a little over a year and a half old, so it had been 2 winters in the carport, and rodents got up in it and got into the blower motor and into the filter, and what they did is they filled it up with acorns and leaves and all kinds of stuff. And because I live down in the south and I very seldom use the blower even in the winter time, because we don't have much in the way of cold weather, and also during the summer I try to conserve the use because of the battery on the Leaf. So I hadn't had the blower motor on quite a while. So what I did is I turned the blower motor on, and I heard all this rattling in it, and I thought it had failed. And so took it down to the Nissan dealer, and they checked it out and told me what it was, and then said it wasn't covered under warranty. Now the first lesson I learned, oh by the way, I also want to mention there really are some good videos on YouTube on how to do this, and I picked up a lot of the pointers there, but a couple of things I'm going to mention to you were not included on those videos, and they may be of some help to you. So anyway, first thing I found out was, whenever you turn the motor on, if you hear any rattling or banging, turn it off immediately. I did not do that. I thought it might just clear up, so I ran it for a little while, and of course it totally damaged the motor. So then the repair bill estimate from Nissan was quite expensive, so I decided to do it myself. Now, first thing I want to do is, well, let me show you how to get to it first. This is the glove box, and it's upside down right now, but this piece that's on the bottom here, piece of plastic, it just pops off the bottom of the glove box. So you'll see it this way, upside down. But what it is you will see there are just 3 tabs. You can't see them in the video very well, but they're basically 3 tabs that pop out of this plastic right here, and that just falls out. Very, very easy to get out with a screwdriver. Now, to get out the other part of the dash, or the glove box, there are 4 screws on the top of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside the glove box, you can see on the top there are 2 screws up high on the inside, and then on the outside there are, where is that? Oh, 4 screws here on the outside too. They're right below the glove box, and you can see them right there. 2 on the left and 2 on the right. So getting it out is not that big a problem. It took me 30 minutes to get the motor completely out, and I had never been into one of these before. Now, when I got into another couple of lessons I learned, one of them was when I got into it, the motor would run, but it was out of balance because this edge of the blower, and I realize you can't see a lot of this, but you get the idea. The edge of this blower all the way around here had been kind of chewed up from acorns or something getting in it. Part of it on one side is chewed more than the other, and it got it all off balance. So that's one of the reasons you don't want to run this thing. You just want to pull it out, clean it up, and put it back in. Now, if your motor happens to be bad and you actually have to replace it like I did, see these electrical connections right here? This is I actually bought a Nissan motor to replace it with. I went online and found quite a few motors that you could buy in parts stores, but the way I initially read it was the motors were made in Japan, but that's not what they meant. It meant the motors were for cars that were made in Japan. And this plug assembly here is different on the motors that you get aftermarket from Napa and other parts stores. And the blower, I think it'll work fine, but the blower configuration is a little smaller. It's about maybe a ½ inch smaller than this, with a much wider lip on the end of it. So I went ahead and bought the motor from Nissan. Now, one other thing you can think about when you buy the motors from or parts from Nissan, if you go online, you can actually get a discounted price where you can buy the motor. I think I paid $158 for this one. It's normally like $185 plus tax. And if you order it online, you can pick it up at the dealer and you get a discount. So I don't know whether y'all have tried that or not, but it may be of some value to you. Now let's go on around to the car here for a second. And let me show you a couple of things about where the motor goes. Now, I've already bought the new motor and I've actually installed it. So I'm going to go inside the car, and the first thing I'm going to show you is right here. This is an electronics package of some sort that is bolted up here under the dash, and you'll see it immediately when you get the glove box out. But it's bolted under the dash. You just take 2 screws and just kind of let it fall down. Now you can see what I did. I just tied it up with a string to the steering wheel just to keep it out of the way, and to test my new blower motor, because I'm not sure whether this electronics package requires a ground or not on the metal frame. But if you'll notice what I did, I took a battery cable and hooked it to the metal on the electronics package and to the frame in the car where it came off. I'm going to take them off now as we're talking here, but that provided a ground just in case it needed one. I'm not sure whether it does or not. So that kind of gets that out of the way. I've got to go back and show you one more thing on the motor. Excuse me, but I didn't have this video very well planned out. On the motor, you see this tab on the top of the motor right here? This motor is very, very simple to get out. All you do is you pull back on that tab like so. When you got your hand up under there, you rotate the motor about 1/4 of a turn to the right and then pull it out. But first, before you pull it out, I do recommend that you take the electrical plug out. It's much easier to get it out while the motor is secure and is steady than it is when you pull the motor out and then try to get it out and the motor shaking around. So anyway, keep that in mind too. Now let's go back under the car and let me show you a couple other things. Now, for $125, the Nissan dealer took the motor out, showed me where the acorns were on it. Now you can see, maybe you can see the motor up in there. Yeah, you can see the motor. Let me see, make sure I point it out to you. These are the wires that go to the motor right here. These wires right here go to the motor, the blue one. This is the motor assembly right here, and that tab is on the top of it that you turn to take it out. You just turn it 1/4 of a turn, you unplug the wires, turn it 1/4 of a turn and pull it out. Now the wires are a little difficult to seat, to reseat. So you got to be careful to reseat them completely, and pay attention to the point at which you take where the tab is on the motor, because when I put one back in, when I first put this one back in, I had the tab 1 click to the left, and it actually, the motor was in a little bit of a bind, so I had to turn the car back off, pull the motor out, turn it to the right, and kind of reseat it. Now I had taken the other motor out like 3 times to test it, and I never ran into that until I got ready to put the newer motor in. Now, one other thing too is, once you get into this, and what the dealer didn't do, you see down here, see this little 2 videos together or something like that. Now I really want to show you this right here. Let me see if I can get to it. See that little door right there? That little door right there is where your cabin air filter is. Now, it cost about $140, I'm told, to get the dealer to service this item. But what you do, there's a tab on the bottom, and you very, very carefully just barely pull down on that tab so you don't break it off, and then rotate that cap up from the bottom, and that top area becomes kind of a hinge there, and then you can get to the filter and pull it out. Now, my filter was absolutely completely full of trash and messed up too, and the dealer didn't even bother to clean the filter out. So if you are going to do these motors and put them in there, be sure and clean out your filter, okay? Because if you had infestation, if you had a need to get in there because of the kind of things I went through, rather than just a motor failure, then you'll probably need to clean that filter out as well, because mine was absolutely totally filthy and I had to replace it. They are readily available at the general car parts stores because they are used on other cars as well. Well, listen, I hope that this has been a little bit of help to you, and I want to give a thank you to the San Francisco Leaf Club for the tips they gave me on how to get to that filter, that cabin air filter, without damaging the cap when I took it off. So anyway, I hope you have a good day, and if you've got a Leaf, I hope you enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed mine. Take care.